First of all, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Are you all enjoying yourselves? Wow, great response from the crowd. Nevertheless, we're about to start in the next couple of minutes, so I request everybody to make themselves comfortable. If you wish to sit on the aisles, that's perfectly all right. And just make sure that you keep your cell phones on silent. We're also going to have a Q&A session, so I would appreciate if we talk towards the Q&A sessions only. Thank you. So now let me ask you, having a good time? Oh, how many college students? Raise your hand. Very good. Attend your lectures like this. You might just stop. Okay, now you can play the music. I feel very awkward now. All right, so the couple of minutes just went by like this. Nevertheless, let me welcome you once again to Lodha Presents the Times of India Literary Carnival 2013. The music is still on. Thank you. Now, this is going to be the last session for today. We're going to have a wonderful day tomorrow and the day after, so thank you all for being here. And the last session today is about the Pyaar, Conjob. Now, I do not need to give any introductions. We've got a great panel out here, consisting of Mr. Imtiaz Ali, Ayan Mukherjee, Nikhil Advani, Sujoy Ghosh, and Jitesh Pillai. We'll talk about how love gets distorted on the big screen. So I really need not give their introductions because everybody knows them. So with a huge round of applause, let me welcome the panelists on the stage. Welcome. Huge means big, by the way. Gentlemen, enjoy yourself, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, hello.
Hi guys, we promise not to put you to sleep. The topic is love the biggest con job in the movies? And I'm here to ask my esteemed panelists if they con us into buying movie tickets and by telling us their films are love stories and all of that. Secondly, I also would like to know from them how they have challenged the conventional stereotypes of love through their movies. Before that, I have a little anecdote. The three gentlemen here, Imtiaz, Nikhil, and Sujoy, have been on the Filmfare Awards panel and have given me a lot of heartburn. So this is my chance to get even with them. They've fought, they've been bloody baths at the jury meetings. So please feel free in attacking them, slamming them, beating them up verbally through all your questions. And we promise we won't make it a boring academic discussion because there's this great literary seminar here. We'll try to entertain you with a few Bollywood questions, and Imtiaz promises he will be his irreverent self. So no need for any introduction to my panelists.
No, I'm reminded, good that you brought the point up. Since we are talking about con jobs, and a couple of years back, the three of us have been on the esteemed jury of Filmfare. So yeah, we've got some experience in it.
Which is a total lie. He's saying this for sound effects and sound bites. So let me throw open the discussion to all the four. Is love overrated in the movies according to you? Hold that thought. Let me ask Nikhil first, because Nikhil has a lot to say. Do you think love is overrated in the movies? Yeah.
I have a lot to say. When did I? Just because in Starbucks that they were saying a lot that...
At Starbucks, he just refused to stop talking. So that was like 2 hours of Nikhil Advani. Now he's being very bashful and all of that.
No, I'm not being bashful. I don't think, is love overrated in Bollywood films? I think, no, I don't think so, because I mean, we are still making love stories and making a lot of love stories still. I just feel that the way we are now approaching love, or the directors today are approaching love, can be different. I mean, there is still the conventional ashiki type of films which are being made, and a lot of people go to see them. But there are other different types of films also which convey different forms of love stories. Like, for instance, what Ayan did with Wake Up Sid, a younger man and an older woman. Or what I think, I mean, for whatever little I know, what Imtiaz is doing with Highway, you know. So, I mean, they are different. I think that today we can be bolder, and we don't need to be doing the running around the trees anymore.
And you want to answer that? I mean, coming from Dharma, which is traditionally known to make vanilla flakes and candy floss. So you made a film like Wake Up Sid, which sort of, challenged the conventional notions of love. So would you like to comment on that?
You know, Jitesh, I don't think I made that film like commenting on like the kind of films that Dharma makes, my film having challenged that norm. None of these like thoughts or markers were in my head while actually writing that film or making it. There's no like intellectualization of the film process while it goes on. That, how does my film fit into the present context? I've just begun my career. It was very organic, both the films that came out of me. And if you ask me, I think both my films are fairly vanilla. Even a film like Wake Up Sid, it's a very warm film. It like sort of reinforces, very warm moral values. So I don't think that I've been involved in any way in like breaking the mold, honestly. And to answer your first question, do I think love is overrated in the movies? Not at all. I mean, I think like love stories are great in the real world, great in the movies. It's, one of the things we obsess about in our lives as well. So I think it finds its reflection in the film because of that, We're interested in love.
Nikhil and Ayan, a sort of common strain in both your movies, whether it was Kal Ho Na Ho or, and you could see it as a criticism, or in Ye Jawani Ye Diwani, the nerdy girl gets overlooked, and suddenly when she's wearing sexy cholis and she becomes this real Wawa-woom figure, she gets the boy. So are we playing into a conventional stereotype? Nikhil, you want to answer that?
You're killing us with these questions, man, Jitesh. These are the kind of questions that, when you ask, like, I'm blanking completely. Nikhil, you should take this.
No, don't put it on me.
You set the trend, man. I was just following in your footsteps. So, go for it.
Her name is also Naina in your film.
Exactly. You are my inspiration.
No, I mean, yeah, you do play to the stereotypes. When you're making that type of film, where you have to have Shah Rukh Khan with his arms spread wide out on the Brooklyn Bridge, then yes, you have to play out to certain stereotypes, which I think today is breaking. Lots of films have come about where you don't need to do that, and then your love stories. I mean, for instance, you have a production house or a studio called, like Yashraj Films, which has, with last 30 years, has made films on just one particular type of film. Or romantic kind of film, and now they went and made a film called Shuddh Desi Romance, which breaks everything that they've done. I mean, they're no longer talking about arranged marriage. They're not, in fact, the protagonist is saying, we don't want to be married. They are kissing each other in a bus, going for the boy's wedding and all that, right? The first time they meet, that first night they meet. So I think that writers, directors are somewhere going away from the whole Naina with the glasses, and then the choli comes out, and yeah.
Sujoy, you want to react to that?
No, I totally agree with Nikhil. By the way, thank you so much for coming. I never expected so many people to turn out, yeah? So thank you so much for coming and listening to our thing, yeah? No, what you were asking, whether love is getting bolder or love is getting, what was that question you asked? Love is getting... No, I think what's happening, we are all a product of a society. Now, the love that my grandfather saw, or my father saw, or what I saw is not what my son will be seeing, and definitely not my grandson will be seeing. So with time, views change, approaches to certain emotions change. And I think as a filmmaker also, this is much more exciting for us because, you know, we run out of way of representing emotion on screen. Because cinema, you have to do it visually. So if I'm going to represent love on screen, the more it changes, the more it goes into this different variant modes of, you know, whether sex before marriage or not before marriage, or meeting a girl and kissing the girl for the first time. You know, it all different aspect, not necessarily right or wrong. But these are the various forms of love which I at least quite welcome, because when I see love through my son's eyes, it's a completely different love that I have seen through my eyes, or I have seen my parents or my grandparents. So I don't think, you know, love is a con job, but at the same time, these various forms of love, whether bold or submissive, is quite welcome, at least as a filmmaker, as a writer. I quite like it.
You want to respond to that, Imtiaz?
I'll just take that forward into saying that if movies are any way a reflection of what life is, which I think especially in movies that like the four of us make and many of us make now in the film industry, it is. So then love becomes as unavoidable as it is in life, and it becomes as motivational for the plot to move on in movies as it does in life to move on in reality. So the forms will keep changing. I'm sure that when, you know, the other day we were talking about Mughal-e-Azam and the feather scene in it, I'm sure that at its time it was supposed to be very bold and sensual and almost taboo, but now it's being cited as example of how archaic was the way of showing love. So things will change, and we are just saying exactly what I'm sure people before us have said.
Talking about the feather scene, you think a scene like that in, say, juxtaposed with in the times of MMS and Twitter and all of that, you have Dev D where the lovers are sending each other pictures, you know, intimate pictures of one another. You think the entire concept of love has become sexualized, or is it a little more bolder? Has sex replaced the songs in the movies in a way?
See, I'm sure that after all those polite and decent scenes in movies, there was some other stuff that happened which was not in the movies, which is the same that we show to a little extent, greater extent, because, you know, even at that point of time, if you notice, population has increased. So it's not as though the society used to stop at just feather. So I think since the society in itself has become more, I would say that we have become less hypocritical. We have become more honest and open to admit stuff that we do. And as I think the audience is becoming also more, you know, what really happens is that oftentimes this is the question, that there's a way things happen in life. You know, there's a way that a relationship takes place in life. If we don't show it in the way that it does, and we cut to two flowers touching each other, then you will not buy into the story. So very often it is not for titillation that these scenes are brought into the films, but because it's just necessary, otherwise it's not believable at all. You make it a big deal by hiding it.
You think today the audience comes with less preconceived notions about how love should be in the movies? Do directors sort of play into a stereotype? You want to take that?
No, I think one of the reason we are so brave in writing and directing is because of people like them, all of them sitting out there, because they are much more accepting of us now. They are the reason, I mean, like, if I take my movie as an example, Kahani worked because all of them saw it. It didn't work because I wrote something or Vidya acted. And at the same time, the audience accepted the fact that a young boy could have feelings for a pregnant woman, you know, which probably would have been a very taboo subject a few years back.
Did that create a problem with the distributors who were seeing the movie?
I mean, there was a certain amount of resistance, but wo chalta hai. I mean, we get resistance from every point. But I'm saying, you know, because our audiences travel much more now, they are open to much more movies across the world. They are much more aware, you know, internet and everything. So I think they're much more accepting, and because they're so accepting, we are a little braver than how we used to be. You know, we have replaced those two flowers by two individual kissing, and which they allow us, and rightfully so, I think.
I think what Shujoy is saying is correct. In the sense, the whole notion of pursuing, the boy pursuing the girl, or the girl pursuing the boy, which used to form a large part of the love story. Oh, they met, they hated each other. Now he said something. A villain came. Villain tried to rape her. He saved her, and then now they have become best friends. And then they became this thing. But you know that whole this thing of the history of the love affair, you don't really need to show it. Today you can actually start a film where the door opens, the girl comes inside, the boy is lying on the bed. You realize that, oh, and she says a couple of dialogues, which gives you the history that, oh, they've been seeing each other for some time and now they're sleeping together. And the audiences are accepting that. They are accepting the fact that, okay, by just this visual, we know that, okay, they are having a relationship. And they may be in love. And so you can actually take a lot more for granted, because the audiences today are seeing a lot of Western films, because the internet, because everything, they books, everything that is available to them, we are not burdened with the history of the love affair or the love story. So we can do anything. We can start from wherever, like in his in Kahani, you know. For me, Kahani is a love story. In the end, she's actually trying to find out who killed her husband. So it is in that sense, you know.
Hold that thought. Nikhil mentioned about pursuing the girl. Now that has been a bugaboo with most people. You know, the hero is often seen as a stalker. You know, a lot of people had problems with a film like Ranjana, where they felt he was ostensibly a stalker. Now, even if you see a film like Sholay, does Hindi cinema encourage stereotypes like the hero as a stalker? You know, you can rough up the girl, and it's okay to do chhed-chhad. You know, there's a film where Madhuri Dixit almost put upside down in a film, and there's a lot of physical jostling around. Is that necessarily a part of the love story, the great?
I think Hindi cinema for India is the easiest lesson to morality for the masses. And usually the films that have done well have upheld that, almost deliberately. As we were discussing the other day, there's a fine line between pursuing a girl, line marna, and actually becoming a stalker. And it's to the sensitivity and understanding of that guy. There'd be very few movies, for instance, Ranjana is a movie where this guy appears to be a stalker, etc., etc. But in the end, he's undone. He loses his life at the hands of this girl who manipulates him and shows false affection to bring him to a point where he actually loses his life. And see, characters in movies are not constant. They're not static commodities. They change. In fact, mostly that's why movies are made. So this guy started off as just a fanciful stalker, but ultimately he became the kind of guy who could give up his life for this girl who he had a fancy for. So it is that progression, I think, that makes what he does credible, not the fact that he was a stalker. And there is, at the end of the movie, there's a certain sum total of, so you do this, and this is what happens to you, kind of thing, which you will find is often in the direction of giving respect to the woman, and not really roughing her up in a way which is against her deeper desires, so to speak. There is always going to be game playing. It's not as though it's not going to be a very formal or a polite discussion between a guy and girl that, you know, can I look at you? Oh, okay, but only for 30 seconds. Okay, so can I touch you now? So it can't be that corporate. It will be a bit that मैंने पकड़ लिया हाथ और तूने छुड़ाने की कोशिश की मगर उसमें नखरा है, अदा है. But I think innately this guy, the hero, will know that what the response is, whether there is a positive response or not.
No, but the constant criticism is maybe the audience is not, I mean, without undermining them, chhed-chhad is okay, which I don't think it's not okay. So, would you say films are sort of glamorized version of the reality?
No, no, no. I think there's something which he said is very important. There's always a sum total in a film, which we tend to ignore. Like he said, if there is an action, there is a final culmination in a film, right? But what you're saying is just a snapshot of a film. Like in this scene, this hero has done, pursued a woman, right? But you just can't take that. You have to take the sum total. You also have to see that hero gave his life for that girl. So if you're telling me in that total process, we are doing something bad, then it makes sense. Other than that, I think every film has a very nice arc. Anything bad always get punished in the end. So film is actually quite a nice moral story. If you see any film for that matter, any film, anything bad gets brutally punished at the end of the film and the villains are packed off by the